everybody, to the Calvin Athletics Roundtable, Season 1, Episode 3. Back with my co-host, Ryan Souders, and as always, joining us with special assignments, Jeff Febus. Ryan, welcome back. How you doing? It's been a couple weeks.
Jim, great to be back. Roundtable rolling. Excited for got a great show today. So looking forward to it. Good weekend. Back at it here at the Roundtable. How was your weekend?
Great weekend. I think you say it tongue in cheek because the Wolverines got beat, but we're here to talk Calvin Athletics. We can talk Wolverines a little bit later.
I don't have a dog in the fight. I mean, the Bears have been essentially college football level for most of my life, so I don't feel that bad for anybody in the Big Ten, to be honest with you.
All right. Well, the leaves are falling off the trees. We're moving into winter sports seasons. We're wrapping up what is our fall sports seasons with volleyball and soccer finishing up this past weekend and moving into our winter sports. We'll have Coach Saul on the show tonight talking about his team and what a strange year it's been already for them and some of the things that are coming up. But as always, Ryan and I start out with a few topics like we like to muse on a little bit. Topic number one is a repeat from week one, and that is a segment what we call What Are We Doing? Usually we are frustrated about something and we ask each other that question. What are we doing? So today, the What Are We Doing topic is basically the state of athletics in Division III. So, Ryan, this past week, the President's Council of the NCAA Division III granted everyone a full year of eligibility, regardless of how many games they played. I believe there was somebody told me in July that's what we should do. Happy about it, or you wish they would have done it sooner?
Well, Jim, I don't know who emailed you in July, but I emailed you in June.
Oh, okay.
I mean, this might be, of all the what are we doings out there, board of directors. I mean, what are we doing? Like, I just don't. Division I jumped on it right away. Division II jumped on it right away. NAIA, to their credit, said we're going to have a championship. So at least they forged forward. We didn't do either. I mean, I know I'm a fall sport, but it's like we found out that we could have unlimited games just in time for our fall season to be over. So I certainly am hopeful at Calvin, our winter and spring sports get the opportunity to compete. I think that's something our administration has fought really hard for. But I think, man, I just, especially at the Division III level, you want to put it in the hands of your institutions. And board of directors, if you're listening, I disagree with you on this one. This call should have been made a long time ago and really put it in the hands of the conferences and of the individual institutions. Jim, am I crazy? Your thoughts?
Well, I think certainly you look at it as a coach, but I know we talked about it in depth, and I think a lot of schools in Division III were trying to figure out what brings kids back to campus with kind of a safety net. And really the fall sports, I give our fall sports kids a ton of credit. They came back without that safety net. It was provided later, as you say. I think they could have relieved a lot of tension among coaches and athletic administrators by maybe doing that a little bit earlier. And I also think it will allow schools in situations at different parts of the country, if they could have played, they might have played one or two. And in this case, because the decision came later, I think you kind of put that out. Now we're in the midst where no one's really wanting to play because of the cases surging around the country, which was predicted, which is why we were all trying to get out by November. So, yeah, that one is one for what are we doing, and I think you'd hit that one on the head. Second one under what are we doing? Fans at games, and boy, we're going into indoor sports and right now in Division III, it looks like it can range anywhere from, an occupancy rate or just guess of the athletes. And certainly in Division III, we don't make money necessarily off of fans, but we make some. But what do you think it means to the coaches and players with fans?
I tell you what, this to me goes into one of last week's topics is either you were wrong then or you were wrong now. I don't know. I was at a local high school game, and you would have thought it was way back in the history, like all the way back in 2019. Fans were everywhere. They were gathered together, and I thought to myself, what are we doing? Like, we've worked so hard to get to a certain spot, social distancing. Some schools just don't seem to care. So there doesn't seem to be some consistency there. I think one of the things that's been great is live stream. Live stream allows fans to maybe engage in ways that they haven't been able to otherwise. I think outdoor sports, we were fortunate to have have some fans outdoors because of those regulations. I'm actually looking forward. Later, we'll have Coach Saul on. Maybe we'll have actually the first college winter classic, men's basketball outdoors. We can have fans socially distanced, bring in the court. We'll see what he thinks. I feel like the Winter Classic in Grand Rapids is probably very similar to all of his indoor games up at Northern Michigan and Marquette. Yes. So he's the guy we'll have to ask. I think there's a solution moving forward is maybe a bunch of Winter Classics around the country.
Yeah, I think Marquette is still digging out from a whole bunch of snow. Yeah, we cut Coach Sall's playing about half, but he gets to be in sunny Grand Rapids. So we'll have to talk about with Coach about that. All right, Ryan, we're running short on time. I'm going to move to our second topic in our opening, and that is a little game I'm going to call word association. And I'm going to give you limited words to respond to a few things, and we'll move on to the Coach Saul interview. So 7, I don't know, I keep picking the number 7 for things, and I got 7 topics for you, okay? And I want a one word right off the top. How you feeling?
We got the 7-second delay on this.
No, this is Eden Souders. First, no filter. Ready? Are you ready to go?
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
All right. COVID.
Dumb.
Spring soccer.
Fingers crossed.
Okay. Cubs season tickets.
Investment opportunity.
NCAA championship. A NCAA championship.
2022.
Zidema Field.
No place like home.
Fatherhood.
Exhausting.
Recruiting. Same word.
Stupid.
All right. Thanks, Ryan, for playing word association. Our next segment is going to be with our sports information director, Jeff Febus. We've kind of settled on a title after throwing a few around. We're calling this 5 Minutes with Febus. And this week's topic is memorable moments from fall championships run. Souders is going to put them on the clock for 5 minutes, and we're going to hit the buzzer. But this segment is brought to you by In On Time. Matching your requirements to your needs to our fleet and warehouses gives you the flexibility you're looking for in your logistics provider. Unmatched service and reliability makes In On Time your complete logistics solution.
All right, Phoebes, we're going to put you on the clock in 3.
All right. Well, thank you, Ryan. It's the 5 minutes with Febus flashback, so to speak. And Jim asked me to look at an NCAA championship fall sports flashback. Wanted to do a little whip around to the 2005 NCAA fall championship season for Kelvin. It was one of those no sleep Novembers that I'd like to, remember back in the day. I think one of the memorable things for me personally, I think it was the first time that my dad actually did one of these road trips with me. To go watch a number of NCAA championships. And we had men's and women's soccer, volleyball, and men's and women's cross country all competing in the NCAA postseason, and all down in the great state of Ohio, my favorite state, and all within about a 70 to 80 mile radius of each other. So it was one of those situations where father and son were road tripping down and catching as much as we could. And I think one of the things that sticks out it's just a quick backstory on how a handful of those teams got into the NCAA tournament. The volleyball team had to win the league tournament to get in, beat Hope in the Dow Center, the very last volleyball match ever played in the Dow Center, 15-13 in the 5th set. Christine Hendricks dumping the ball into a soft middle, to win it. I can still hear my students screaming over the audio broadcast as we won the league tournament, got into the NCAA tournament. Women's soccer shared the league title with Hope, but got the AQ because they had the greater goal differential in the head-to-head. I had to look this up today. We beat Hope 2-0. They beat us 2-1, +1 goal differential. So we got the AQ. Both teams actually got into the NCAA tournament, but that was our first NCAA tournament bid since 1998. So that was big for them. Men's soccer was even more dramatic. They actually, after winning the league the year before, it had a little bit of a subpar, by their standards, regular season. They were 9-3 in the league, and that was the old double round robin. Going into the last week of the regular season, had lost to Hope, Albion, and then a really disappointing 1-0 loss to Olivet. Didn't look like they were going to get in. And our head coach, Chris Hughes, was like, nope, we're going to make our best push for it. We go to Hope on a Wednesday, win 4-0. We beat Kalamazoo on a Saturday 5-0, and he was very emphatic about winning those two games emphatically. And we did that when we got an at-large bid. A little bit of a surprise, but we got in. So on Wednesday of the following week, we had a home first-round NCAA soccer tournament game on the men's side. We beat Edgewood 4-0. Beautiful sunny afternoon. I can remember that. The next day, volleyball opened in the NCAA tournament down at Wittenberg University in one of those 18 three-day regional deals. We opened with Hiram. I was not there for that one. Hiram had swept us in 3 earlier in the year. We turned the tables and swept Hiram in 3. I was back in Grand Rapids yet at the time after having hosted the men's soccer game the day before. We had a winter sports media day on campus on that Thursday. So I'm following volleyball kind of from the home base. I sleep at my parents' house, father and son, my dad and I. We get in the car at about 4 a.m. on Friday. We head down to Columbus, where women's soccer is playing in Westerville, Ohio, northern suburbs of Columbus. They end up tying the game. It goes to penalty kicks. Jill Capel actually tied the game. I had to look it up. 3.5 minutes left in regulation. We almost won the game with about 30, 40 seconds left. Elizabeth Ribbons had a shot in close. It just went over the bar. And then we lost in penalty kick. So a very exciting game. And here's the side thing. I was broadcasting all of these games, doing an audio stream. We didn't have the live video back then. So I had an old flip phone with a little headset piece. People would listen in. So I'm doing this exhausting penalty kick, overtime game. My dad gets me in the car. I'm writing up the story as we drive down to Wittenberg, which is roughly 60 to 70 miles away from the Columbus area. Get there 20 minutes before the volleyball second round match against Milliken, which you know, of course, having been in the CCIW, Ryan. And we beat Milliken in 4 sets. I broadcast that one too, all the way back up to Westerville in the Columbus area, stay at our hotel. The next morning, which is Saturday, we drive all the way down to the Cincinnati area where the cross-country regionals were at the Voice of America Park, which would host the national meet the following year, but that year they hosted the regional meet. The men won the regional meet. The women took second. I did the audio broadcast running around the course with a little flip phone and a headset on. Great day for the cross-country teams. For the women, they had missed the national meet the year before. By taking second, they got back into the NCAA tournament. So the day wasn't done yet. I'm writing the story in the car. My dad's driving. I think we stopped to get something to eat. We drive up to Delaware, Ohio Wesleyan for a night game, men's soccer, second round NCAA tournament game at the old Roy Reich Stadium, which is now the J. Martin Soccer Complex, as you know. And Ohio Wesleyan was ranked second or third in the country. They had a first round bye. We had to play that kind of play-in first round game. Saturday night, huge crowd of Ohio Wesleyan students, fans, all that kind of thing. Your good friend, Brandon Bianco, now the head coach over at Denison, who had been at Case Western Reserve, scored the first goal of the game, came late in the first half, so Ohio Wesleyan's up 1-0. Student body's going crazy, singing songs about the state of Michigan, all that good stuff. Hair in my back of my neck is raising up, and I'm getting all cranked up. I'm doing a broadcast of that one, by the way. Early in the second half, Kurt Visker, All-American sweeper back, sneaks in off a free kick, bangs in a rebound, ties the game up, 1-1. Then he gets a free kick from the right wing about 30 yards out, just under 14 minutes to go, and he hits a bullet to the far post, beats the keeper, puts us up 2-1, and then Ohio Wesleyan's throwing everything but the kitchen sink at us. to try to equalize. They can't. We win. Stunning win down in Ohio. I've got a huge headache trying to write up the story. My dad and I just drive for a while, crash at a hotel, get back to campus the next day, and I find out we're hosting the Sweet 16 in men's soccer the next week and a home basketball tournament. And then we get a big snowstorm on Monday.
That was a great fall. That was my second fall. I remember your call on Kurt Visker's free kick. Well, Jeff, again, taking us back in time, super appreciated. And now we're looking forward to your interview with Coach Saul.
All right. Well, after that little flashback here, might have a chance to flashback a little bit on this Calvin legend, Head Coach Bill Sall. And this interview brought to you by Vredevoog Heating and Cooling, which has served West Michigan for 54 years. They are a leading heating and cooling contractor and the best choice for your home. They install quality systems and back them up with guarantees to protect your investment. Contact Vredevoog Heating and Cooling today for a free estimate at www.vredevoog.com. Well, joined today by Calvin head coach, men's basketball coach Bill Sall, who's in his second year at the helm of his alma mater. And Coach, I can still remember back in the day, I was, I think, a middle schooler, 9th grader, 8th grader, something like that. You were at Christian High School, and watching you play at the old L.C. Walker Arena against Mark Hughes, the future University of Michigan standout. You had quite a high school career. What led you to choose to come to Calvin College at the time?
Well, Jeff, quite frankly, I didn't have a choice. My mom and dad said, you're going to go to Calvin, and that's where you're going to go. And it was the best decision they made for me. Let's put it that way. Yeah, outstanding. And it's interesting to talk about Mark Hughes. I remember, Mark was about 6'9", 250 pounds, just a giant of a man. And we shook hands before the tip, and literally his whole entire hand, I think, took not only my hand, but my forearm. And I couldn't see either one. And he was a dominating force. Not a good day for the Souders against Reese Buffer that year.
So you come to Calvin, and of course, I remember watching you play in your early years and in your latter years. And you had the distinction of being on 4 teams that went on to the NCAA tournament. I think you were on 3 MIAA championship teams. Those early years, you were kind of the setup post player at about 6'4", 6'5". What was that like, getting thrown into the post right away as a freshman and sophomore?
Well, it was simple. I couldn't shoot. So, when you can't shoot outside of 2 feet, Dama did a good job of finding where I could actually get a bucket. And those were some fun teams. I look back on those years, and I really don't know how we won a lot of games. I think that there was a lot of hard work and dedication, but yeah, it was overall talent. I think we just fought and clawed as much as we could to get wins.
You really had some help inside. You had Dan Davis, of course. You were a pair of co-All-Americans your junior year together. And then your senior year, you get Steve Hondard coming in as a freshman, and you guys go all the way to the Final Four, win 28 games. Just your thoughts on playing on those 2 teams, and especially your senior year, making that huge run in the NCAA tournament, going somewhere where a Calvin basketball team had never gone before.
Well, that was an amazing year, and just a great group of guys to play with. So enjoyable in every facet of it. When Steve Hondard got here, it was real easy for me. I had to move the perimeter because he was by far the best post player that I ever played, but I think probably the best post player I think I've ever seen live. And what an amazing career he had here. Still yet to this day that we didn't get where we wanted to and win the whole thing. But I always say I think we set the next team up for what they did and where they went from there. It's some amazing memories of playing. I can tell you, the Final Four at Wittenberg was certainly special.
Yeah, I remember the national quarterfinal game. Of course, you were number 2. They were number 1, Wittenberg University. They had beaten you by 24, 25 points in a Christmas tournament earlier in the year, and you guys upset them 63-59 on their home court. That had to be a pretty big thrill.
Oh, it was a huge thrill. We had this junk triangle and 2 defense that we never practiced once before, and Coach Dama just kind of threw it in, and the big 6'10" Brad Boldridge was his name. a dynamite player. I thought we did a great job of defending him, and everybody. I think that was certainly that year. I feel our best game overall of just playing just with tenacity and making some really key shots down the stretch.
So at what point did you decide I'd like to give head coaching, or at least assistant coaching before the head coaching, collegiate coaching a crack? At a certain point, it seemed like that was something that just clicked within yourself that you wanted to do. Describe that whole process.
Well, it's kind of a funny story because, I obviously love basketball and really wanted to get involved with coaching. And when I finished up my senior year, I was going to go to Grand Rapids Community College. I talked to Granville Brown, who was the coach at that point. This is way, way back. And it's really funny because he offered me like $5,000 to coach, as the assistant. I'm like, $5,000? I'm not going to do that. So then I did a foray into sales of about, I did the suit and tie gig for probably about 2 years, and was very thankful when Coach Dalma gave me a chance to come back and help out here at Calvin, and then made the normal assistant jumps from Ferris State with Tom Ludwig, and then with Edgar Wilson, and then back with Ed Dalma at Hillsdale, and then fortunate enough to be able to get the head coaching job at Ferris State in 2002. So, I feel very blessed to be able to, coaching is one of those things that, it's hard to stick and it's hard to get your next move, and I've been able to do that all the way through. So it's been awesome.
Now, I know we covered this a little bit last year in some of our interviews and forums and that type of thing, but you're at Ferris, you go up to Northern Michigan, you're up at Northern for 6 years, and we're really starting to build something, in a very positive direction. We're starting to, turn that program around, and then the opportunity to come back to your alma mater came up. What led you back to Calvin as head coach?
Well, two things. First, Jim Timmer is a good friend, and there was lots of conversations, but I think he did a great job of showing, what this program has been and will continue to be, and that's always been such a dear place in my heart. And I think it's always special when you've been here and how much Calvin has impacted my life overall, and to be able to sell recruits on that, that's a special mission. And along with it, as a family, we really felt called to come back to West Michigan, and through the challenges of move and new players and season and everything else, feel very fortunate to be here and be a part of the Calvin Knights.
Just your thoughts, quickly reflecting back on that first year as head coach. I know you had told me personally that the seniors in particular really bought into you and really kind of helped lead the rest of the group along with them to fall in line. Maybe that's not the best way to put it, but to put it frankly, they really all fell in line and worked hard for you. Just your thoughts on the first year.
I do. I think they did an amazing job over the season, in the course of the season. I would say after our first practice, I didn't know if we were going to win a game. So we certainly made some nice strides. And a lot had to do with the seniors, Derek DeVries, Alex Boston, Tony DeWitt. First of all, just tremendous young men, great guys, and I was a pleasure to coach them. I think they did a great job of leadership, and, we were really thin. That was the one thing that was tough last year is, that grouping of starters averaged almost 34 minutes apiece. And so instrumental that not only we stayed healthy all the way through the year, but, I think as the year went along as well, we saw some pieces of a few other guys that really stepped up and started to do some good things. But the backbone of that team was the seniors and what they brought. And Derek DeVries, can't say enough about his ability to score at so many different levels, and I thought he just had an amazing year.
Well, I know fans want to hear a lot about some of the names and faces of this year, but maybe could you first just talk a little bit about how in this COVID world you've navigated things as a coach? I've tried to explain it to people as best I can on how players have worked together in pods and this re-socialization of sport and the NCAA and Just kind of the point-by-point rules and regulations that are kind of out in front. Maybe you can just kind of explain how things have gone from a men's basketball standpoint through this fall semester.
Well, yeah, I think you learn quickly that if you don't take it day by day, you're going to be in trouble. As coaches, we love to have the game plan set. The schedule of not only the week of practice, but how we're going to lead into the next week, to the first game of the season, to what it's going to look like. Once the MIAA starts, and we didn't have any of that. I think Calvin's done an amazing job of from protocol to testing to really wanting to see sport be played this fall. And I certainly know our guys appreciate that so much. It's interesting, but I'd say over 80% of our players, after we shut down March 11, weren't in a gym until we opened it up about 2 weeks into September. And so just the joyfulness of being able to get on the court and play was a big deal. I think that's really carried itself over to practice. There's lots of things we had to do, from, coming in and making sure that we started in pod group, where, we really try to do our best to kind of quarantine and not have too much socialization between teams. Some of those things that you love as a team sport, pick up basketball, for instance, right? That's always how you kind of spend your September, really getting to know each other. Weren't able to do that. Spending time in the locker room, where you really get to know not only the seniors, but the seniors get to know the freshmen. A lot of those things have not been able to happen. But in the same breath, to actually say, hey, every week we get a chance to go out and do something we love to do, has been super special. And I think our guys really, really appreciate that.
Well, let's just talk a little bit about some of the players on your team, and just kind of go through it class by class. And I'm just going to say, hey, can you first talk a little bit about your senior class? You got a couple of guys that started there for you last year that are now seniors, in Emmett Warners and Thad Shemansky. Just talk a little bit about your senior group first.
Well, we're going to count on them a lot. And for the fans that have seen Thad play, they know that he's an amazing scorer. And, I think he's even improved here in practice at doing a little more off the dribble. We're going to look for him to score in a variety of ways consistently. We're continuing to try to push him not only to become a better defender, but also to try to be more vocal. And that's something he's certainly struggled with a little bit in the past. So that's a big thing. Been really happy with the development of, Emmett Warners. Here's a guy that I think came in and was really looking at more of a 2-guard 3 position. And, we playing with his back to the basket a lot of the time. And again, I relish his leadership, and I think he's done a really good job so far, really trying to integrate with a lot of the new guys and the guys that are really playing college basketball for the first time. And then, our other senior, Caleb Cleary, sometimes doesn't get as noticed as much because, he doesn't play, but really instrumental in what he brings to practice. And again, how much he makes an impact every day in what he does.
So the junior class, you've got, and some of them did get some minutes for you in kind of a support role last year as sophomores. What can you say about that group?
Well, and that's the thing about that group, is that, it's the big who know. We're still trying to figure out our lineup and our rosters. Which one of those guys just wants to step up and really become a contributor. Two that really come to mind: Jordan Ketchy, I thought, played really well down the stretch. Had a couple of great games against Hope, and really he got a little bigger and stronger. Looking to see him make some strides. And then the other young man is Nate Minderhout, who again, I think in the beginning of the year showed what he was capable of, and kind of had a little bit of a fade down the stretch. But we really need him to make a step up and really become an energy guy that can defend and hit an open shot.
And then what about your sophomore group? I know there's a couple from the JV that are trying to make the move up toward the varsity ranks. I think you got a transfer that's kind of in that sophomore group. You got a couple of kids that played some varsity as freshmen, both JV and freshmen, that are now sophomores. Who's kind of stepping up for you in that group?
Well, between Eli Sessening and Connor Kalk and Isaac Davis, those guys got some good experience on JV and a little bit of varsity experience. I think each one of them brings something special to the table. Really see them in a situation where you're competing to try to get in that top 10. Can you be in a situation where every day you show that you belong there? And there are days that all three of them do that, and then days that they don't. So we're looking for a little more consistency there. And then we did bring in Brandon Paul, a transfer from Grand Valley, some much needed height, 6'8" and about 230. Well, I think we need to get him to 230. He's probably about 235 right now. We got to get him in shape. So we're working him a little bit, but I think he's going to really help us in the interior. Has some good skill. I think needs to fine tune that a little bit, but I do look forward to working with him, and he's just been great and really done a nice job of really socializing and associating himself with Calvin basketball.
Well, I know you did a really strong job of hitting the recruiting ranks, and a number of freshmen are here in this freshman class. What can you tell us about that group? I know it's still really early, so kids are just competing. You're still trying to assess, but what can you say overall about them?
Well, I think they're super talented. I think there's a lot of guys that can really contribute. But as me and JT were talking the other day, they're all freshmen, right? And freshmen know nothing. It's just how things go. And so, what I enjoy about working with these guys is that they have a passion to play. They love the game. They love Calvin basketball. But we really have to find a way to. I think the two things always with freshmen that are lacking, right, is number one, they've never really had to defend, and they really don't know how to. And they really have no idea what it means to play hard. If you can get over those couple of humps, and that takes time. We have a chance to see a few of these guys really shine over the course, not only this year, but in the future as well.
So just kind of rounding things up here, you did have an inter-squad game that I was able to see on Saturday, and obviously been doing some practices. As of right now, I think you're planning on trying to get in a few non-conference games before Christmas. So what can you tell us about that? And then I think the league is, working toward trying to have a league schedule sometime this winter. Still working through that, but I guess, first things first, what about the games that you're trying to get in here before Christmas? What can you tell us?
Well, thankfully, here at Calvin, and I just appreciate this so much, is that we've been given the thumbs up to try to schedule some games. It's really up in the air yet. We really don't know for sure. So we have some games penciled in. November 14th, we're hoping, that we'll be able to play Manchester here in the home game. And then down, in the later parts of November and then early December, we have some games that and so as soon as we can kind of get everything finalized, and again, I've learned quickly over 2020 that things are rarely finalized. We will certainly get that information out to fans, and it looks like we might be able to get maybe 3 home games yet before we send the guys home for winter break.
Hey, one more quick question. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up, but what's it like to be a Calvin parent? Your daughter, Delaney, a freshman, and really had a nice year with cross country this fall, and I think she's planning to run some track. What's it like to be a Calvin parent?
Well, it's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun. We had a chance to get to a couple of the cross country meets. There wasn't many of them, and meet a few of the parents. Really happy for Delaney. The cross country group is such a welcoming family of anybody new, and she's really bonded well with not only the coaches but the women's team. And looking forward to. She's like her old man, a little more of a 400, 800 runner. So get out of those distance runs and actually get to something where you just got to go around the track a couple of times. So we're looking forward to seeing what she can do this spring.
Well, and I would like to bring up that the old man was the Class B state champion as a senior at Unity Christian High School back in the day. So she's got Good
That's right.
bloodlines.
And Febus, I let every player that comes into this gym, into this program for the last whenever, let them know that, right? They don't believe me, but yes, I always have a picture on my phone that yes, it did happen.
It did happen. Yes, indeed. Well, thanks for stopping by, Coach Saul. Again, this interview with head coach Bill Sall was brought to you by Breda Vogue Heating and Cooling. Thanks again for stopping by.
All right. Hey, thanks. See you guys.
Well, thanks, Bill, for joining us, and Jeff for the interview. Hey, we're moving on to our student athlete interview this week, and this week it's with junior Maddie Hall from the women's volleyball team, who just finished up their fall part of their season. And this segment is brought to you by Lake Michigan Credit Union, a longtime sponsor of Calvin Athletics. Lake Michigan Credit Union has more ways for your money to earn even more. Choose from CDs, health savings accounts, credit cards, and a checking account. Money Magazine called the best checking account in America. Earn more interest, more returns, and more rewards with Lake Michigan Credit Union. Coach Souders and Maddie, take it away.
All right, Dr. Timmer, thanks. Maddie, thanks so much for joining us on the Roundtable. How are you doing this evening?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. So first things first, you've just come out of a fall season. Tell us about it. What's this fall been like for Calvin women's volleyball? What's been different? What's been similar? What's been good? What have you struggled with? Kind of take us through your last 6 weeks in COVID Calvin volleyball.
If I had to sum it up in one word, it would just be weird. It at first didn't exactly feel like Calvin volleyball because we felt like robots. We were only able to really be in the gym for a certain amount of time and in the locker room. And outside of that, there really wasn't a lot of communication, which if you know anything about Calvin volleyball, a lot of Calvin volleyball is based outside of the gym. So that was obviously a struggle from the beginning to just find ways to connect with each other and find those connections outside of the gym and beyond the court. But overall, it ended up being a really, really fun season. It was fun to just like be able to get in the gym with no pressure of games and winning, losing, anything like that, and just play and enjoy the sport for what it is and the company around us for what it was.
Okay. Now, are you guys? Did you play any matches or practices this fall with masks?
Yes, every practice and every match.
Now, tell us about that for our viewers out there who aren't, doing anything in masks. What's that experience like? Difficult? You loved it. Now you're always going to wear masks. Tell me about that.
It was definitely a challenge. The hardest part was keeping the mask up when you're constantly jumping. The mask would like fall down and you have to like pull it up mid play. So that'll probably be like an instinctive part of my routine now, which is a little unfortunate, but I definitely would not, if I had the choice, work out in a mask because it is at times very difficult to breathe. However, it was necessary in order for us to have a season. So I'm grateful that we were able to do it.
Worth it for sure. I mean, I don't work out that much, it's just tougher to breathe. So it's one way to look at it.
Exactly.
I'm kind of surprised. So if there's I know about kind of Calvin women's volleyball. So did your masks, did they glow in the dark? Did they,
have diamonds
worth
on them?
$100,000? Yeah, diamond. What? I mean, to talk about your mask. I mean, Coach Warner's is usually pretty famous about, being extra. I don't even know if that word is in anymore, but C-ball is usually extra. Am I on point or are we on?
To a point, you could claim that, I guess. She treats us well, that's for sure. But
Okay.
We had masks that said Calvin Volleyball. Some girls opted to wear different masks that stayed up different ways. She did give us these plastic inserts that you could put between your face and your mask that would hold your mask away from your face, which made it a little bit easier to breathe, but it often fell down when the mask fell. So it was just another step and hazard in the way.
All right. Sounds good. So with men's soccer this past weekend, we had a pumpkin carving contest and then a kind of a costume gathering as we were watching the women's soccer game. So myself, I went as Dogface 208. That was my costume. Some cranberry juice and a skateboard. Did women's volleyball have any type of costume gathering, or are you a Halloween type of person? Any particular costume this year?
We did not have a Halloween gathering. We were not able to gather outside of the gym or anything like that. But after the game on Friday, our inter-squad scrimmage, we were able to do mock awards with the entire team. So that was kind of our like little end of the season celebration, and there was lots of like Halloween candy and that type of thing, but nothing Halloween specifically.
I mean, to the degree that you're able, I mean, there's lots of listeners out there that would maybe love Inside the Mock Awards. Can you shed some light on maybe one winner? No, we're staying away from that. Okay, we don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, I do. Maddie's still sore about losing the costume contest last year at Midnight Madness. She was one of the 7 days of creation, and they finished runner-up to the best buy guys.
I just want to let you know that I was on that voting committee, but I'm pretty sure I voted for you. I think I would imagine. So, all right. So moving right along, you actually, Maddie, have the incredible opportunity to actually be the first member of the round table who's dating another member of the round table interview with Case and Anderson. So we had Case on 2 weeks ago, and we were talking mostly Minnesota sports. Is that something that are you like a Michigan sports girl? You couldn't care less, or you're like full in Minnesota sports now?
I'm definitely a Michigan fan. Go Blue, through and through.
Rough weekend, rough, brutal.
Basketball. For the most part, outside of that, I'll watch the Gophers once in a while, but I'll always root for my good old Wolverines.
And how do you feel about golf?
Well, I've never played until I started dating Kaysen, so it's been an experience to learn. A little frustrating at times when you play with him because he's obviously pretty decent. But I've grown to like it. I'm excited to, after I graduate, once I have more time on my hands, to actually like take it up and try to learn.
What kind of clubs do you have?
None.
No, okay, yeah, who needs them? Well, I mean, great Calvin golf outing in May 2021. Be good to have you out on the course. So, last question for you, as we're headed here into November, kind of Thanksgiving. We talked about volleyball being different. Classes have obviously been different as well. Talk us through that. What have classes been like? How have your professors been? What do you imagine the rest of the semester looking like? Just would love to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, I just started the nursing program this year, so classes have been like a complete change from all the prerequisite courses I've taken. But from what I was expecting to what it is, it's not that much different besides wearing a mask all the time. I'm still able to have the same hands-on experience that I need in order to get a good nursing degree and go to my clinicals and go to lab and those types of things. So it's not been a whole lot different. The communication with professors has definitely been a bit fractured at times. It's just a lot of communication over email and Skype rather than the good like in-person relationships that you can build.
All right. Last question before I head it over to Dr. Timmer. Favorite food item at the Thanksgiving table?
Ooh, probably green bean casserole. I love it.
Oh,
did not see that one coming. Wow. Dr. Timmer approves, but yeah, interesting. Oh man. So Maddie, I'm going to hand it back to Dr. Timmer for one of his segments, but thanks so much for joining us tonight. It's been great.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right, Maddie. Again, thank you for taking the time out. I know you're busy at the end of the year here and you have other things to get to, so I will keep this short. We've been playing this little thing called 24/7. It's really 7 questions in 24 seconds, but it sounds better 24/7. With Timmer, I'm going to ask you 7 questions into a bit longer, but I'm going to start out and just whatever comes off the top of your head. All right?
Okay.
All right. Easy one. Favorite color?
Ooh, blue.
Not hope blue, but blue.
No, like baby blue. Not.
Okay, good. Vacation anywhere in the world. Where are you going?
Ooh, Costa Rica.
All right. Best concert you've been to, or or a concert you would like to go to?
Kenny Chesney last year.
Oh, you went right before you got it in before the shutdown.
Yep.
Vanilla ice cream or chocolate?
Vanilla.
Favorite class at Calvin or course?
That's a tough one. Probably That's tough. The professor really weights the answer on this.
Don't call any professors out, but go ahead.
Microbiology was not my favorite content course, but one of my favorite classes as an experience as a whole.
Awesome. All right. Give up your iPhone for a week or your boyfriend for a week.
iPhone.
And last but not least, tallest roommate.
Gabby Timmer.
There we go. All right. Hey, Maddie, thanks for joining us. Hope we had a little fun. We'll bring you back in the spring when you guys win the MIAA Spring Volleyball Championships. Again, everybody, Maddie Hall, Women's Volleyball. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, welcome back. And hey, you know, have a very special guest with us today. And I will let Jeff try to pronounce his last name, Giantsopoulos. But I think how did I do, Niko? Was that okay?
Perfect.
All right. So we are going to try to have an alumni spotlight once in a while. And in episode 3, our first alumni spotlight falls on Niko, a former goalie for our men's soccer program. And Niko came to us by a transfer, and our lives were never the same here at Calvin College. And now he's coming back as a assistant coach with our program, helping our goalkeepers out, at least for this fall. But Niko, I just want one question. I'll turn it over to Febus, and he's going to take you from Calvin to how you got here tonight. But when you left Calvin, did you feel like a Calvin Knight? Because I know that you came here from Adrian. It was a little different when you first got here. But what do you think cemented your, hey, now I feel like a Calvin Knight when you were with us?
I just think that's where my college career ended. I think whenever I explain my college career, I also include Adrian College. But when I when I was going to trials and stuff like that, I always filled in like school, like Calvin College, or I guess it's Calvin University now, but back then it was Calvin College. And yeah, I think I grew more with the program here. So that kind of always stuck with me. But I also would never leave out Adrian because I do think that was part of my journey.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has their own journey. I tell my own children that. And I don't think anybody's ever, you never are embarrassed or apologize for your journey. And you've certainly had an interesting one. And I'm going to turn it over to Jeff. Jeff has always kept me involved with your career as you left. But Jeff's going to take you on a journey from that last Calvin game to November 2, 2020 with us. Jeff.
Well, great to have Niko here on the podcast, and having a great 2-year run at Calvin, and helping the Knights go to the national semifinals the senior year. But you went on and have continued on to a professional soccer career. You went to the other end of the globe, down to Australia. How did you find a goalie spot in a professional league down in Australia, and what was it like to live down there?
Yeah, it was a great experience. I mean, first of all, I got there because at the end of my college career, an agent just reached out and asked me if I was still interested in playing. And I said yes. He took my video and kind of sent it off to his connections. And then about 6 weeks later, I ended up getting a call from him like, hey, there's a team in Tasmania, Australia that want to sign you. Here's the contract. You have about a week to decide because the season starts right away. And I just kind of made the decision there that's kind of where I was going to go. I was looking at a couple opportunities in America, but none of them were really panning out the way we expected them to. And then this one was a guarantee. So I took it and just decided to go from there. Yeah, I really enjoyed my time there.
So I think it was 2 years in Australia, right? And then you came back to North America, to Canada. Correct me on the years, but the last
I was in Australia for 3 years, 2 years in Tasmania, and then 1 year in Newcastle, Australia.
Okay. So then you ended up coming back to your homeland, Canada, and played professionally there. What club or clubs have you been with?
So the last 2 years I've been playing with Cavalry FC in Calgary, Alberta. That came about right at the end of my third year in Australia, and things ended up working out. I signed there, and 2 seasons with them, and it's been great. Really enjoyed my time
since joining the club and being able to play back home is it means a lot for me, and it's good to finally my parents and family could actually come to some of my professional games instead of just college.
So we've talked briefly, but I know you'd like to continue to play a few more years professionally. What's the next step or steps for you right now? What are you looking to try to do?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the phase I'm in right now. I had a 2-year contract with Cavalry, and at the end of October, I actually became a free agent. So we're kind of in the process of figuring out my next year. Hopefully I could figure something a bit more long-term. We're kind of talking to a few teams, and hopefully in the near future, I could figure out where I'll sign it. And that's still very well maybe with Calgary.
So there's this one viral video of you out there, Niko, in a penalty kick situation that comes up every now and then, and you actually ended up making the save. So you sacrificed a yellow card where I think the penalty taker is about ready. Now this was in a pro game, not at Calvin, but the penalty taker is about ready to take the kick, and you kind of got his attention a little bit by kicking the ball sideways, got carded, but it seemed to shake him up a little bit. You ended up making the save. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically exactly what happened leading up to the game. I wasn't really thinking about it, just something that I thought of in the moment that I've seen, and I done it, ended up working out. So the video is what it is, and yeah, it's sometimes funny to see when it pops up every now and again. But yeah, it was a cool moment, but yeah, can't escape me now.
Niko,
Right.
I'm going to jump in, Jeff. I just have a question. Niko, I think sometimes we get really small. Like I lived in Grand Rapids most of my life, and I've traveled to Brazil and some other places, but the world's a big spot. Soccer or football around the world is huge. There's just a lot of good players. Did that kind of shock you as you traveled? Like, there are good players, professional players everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what you notice once you start playing at the high levels, that you realize, how difficult it actually is and to get to these environments because, like you said, everyone plays the game, and it just shows that there's competition no matter where you are because now teams are signing players from all over the world. So it's kind of like the competitive environment that you're in. That's kind of like the enjoying. That's the fun part, really, being able to compete against other people.
And then another question. When Coach Souders told me I got this great goalie coming from Adrian, and then when you walk through the door, my first thought was, he's kind of small for a goalie. We're used to these big strapping goalies. Not that you're not big and strapping, but where do you fit in pro soccer in terms of size? Would you be considered a smaller goalie or average? Or, I mean, Febus can name some other pro goalies. I can't, but I think of Tim Howard as a big guy, right? The U.S. national guy and some of the guys we've had before. Where are you? Are you kind of average, or are you, when you compare yourself to size-wise? I know you're skill-wise, but
no, of
size.
course, yeah. I mean, I would say when it comes to size-wise, I'm on the shorter side, definitely in the professional game. In saying that, I think, there's really no denying that if I'm on the shorter side. So what I have to be better at will help make up for being a bit on the shorter side. So if I'm more athletic, if I'm quicker, if I'm fast, more agile, all those things, if I know my positioning better, a lot of that goes into it. And if you can show that on a consistent basis, that's when coaches stop looking at maybe just your stature and then start looking about how you perform in games. And I think that's kind of the hardest part if you are a shorter goalie, but you just got to do stuff more consistently and make up for your lack of height. Because you're not going to go around the fact that I am shorter than other goalkeepers.
Jeff, any more questions?
Well, yeah, just the one question I had. I just asked you about a penalty kick situation, but we're in high school state tournament time, and teams are going into penalty kick shootouts, that type of thing. And I know you were in a couple of penalty kick shootouts as a goalie at Calvin. I'm guessing maybe you were in one or two as a professional. Take us behind the scenes. What's it like to be a goalie in a penalty kick shootout. When you're a fly on the wall watching, it can be very entertaining. And then when you're a fan of one of the teams competing, it can be extremely nerve-wracking. What's it like to be a goalie in one of those?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely kind of exciting. My only experience in a penalty shootout in my professional career was actually my second year in Australia in the semifinals of their version of playoffs. And it was great. Like, we ended up actually losing the penalty shootout, but, we were away and all the fans were directly behind the goal. And you could hear them like screaming and yelling and saying whatever they want. But then after the game, as soon as they won, all the fans actually went on the field, and I have to walk to the change room while I have all the opposing fans like wagging their finger in my face, like screaming, yelling, kind of giving it to me. And I just have to go all the way through. So it's an exciting time. And obviously, I wouldn't say nerves, but you get the butterflies, especially in big moments like that. But then those are always like my favorites.
All right. Well, it's great to see you every time that we see you come back to Grand Rapids, Niko. You're one of our favorites, and we had some great seasons with you here, and we really appreciate you working with our goalies right now. Anything you can tell us about the Kelvin goalie situation right now?
No, all three of them have been great, and I've really enjoyed working with them. They work hard, and hopefully, we all kind of grew, me and my short coaching career, and hopefully they grew a bit as goalkeepers. So it was beneficial for everyone.
All right. Very good.
Hey, thanks, Niko. And we will be fans of you forever, and we'll be following you, and never a stranger here on the Roundtable.
I really appreciate it, guys. I look forward to actually listening to the show now that I know it's around.
All right. Thanks. Well, that's the show for tonight. Boy, it was packed full. We've been trying to get this show down smaller, or shorter. But I want to thank our guests, Niko Giantsopoulos, Bill Sall, and Maddie Hall. Again, I want to thank all of you who are watching around the world on the Roundtable. Hopefully, we're picking up 1 or 2 viewers every episode. And final thoughts, Ryan, and then final thoughts, Jeff, and we are going to be out of here.
Yeah, Jim, beginning of the show, we promised a packed and great show. I think we've delivered. I think maybe with Niko getting in there, we might be headed to international countries. If we have not with the Roundtable, maybe we got to start a social. We start getting some opinions of segments that the listeners are wanting to hear. But man, great show again, as always, Jim. Thanks so much for your work and leadership on this, and Febus as well. Just great to work with you guys. It's a blast every time we do it. So great stuff.
Jeff.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Great to research some of those old those memories, whether it was from Coach Sall's playing days, that crazy 2005 fall. And as Ryan alluded to, as a Michigan Wolverine fan, as well as a Kelvin fan, it was a tough one to swallow, but I got to tip my cap off to the Sparties, a deserved victory. I am wearing my Arsenal gear. They did get a win over Manchester United in the regular Premier League season for the first time since 2006. So I got to put that plug in, because I know we have a lot of Man U followers out there that like to give it to Ryan and I from time to time. So we do have to enjoy it when we can.
All right. Well, thanks to both of you. I know it's a busy time. Thanks to Christian back in the studio and for all his work in post editing this show. Everybody have a great night, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.